I'm incredibly interested in understanding how this modern world is creating difficulty for this experience that we're having in our minds. In today's conversation, I'm going to discuss the idea of where are we getting our sense of validation from, that sense of self-worth, and maybe some of the difficulties of trying to constantly get it from things outside of ourselves. In this conversation, I'm talking about the relationship that capitalism has with our mental health. This is by no means me trying to stand on capitalism. It's incredible, this world that has been built around us, but evidently mental health is growing and becoming more and more of a difficulty for us as a society, and I really feel this is an important conversation we need to consider. The first idea is asking yourself this question of where do you get your sense of validation from? And where are we largely guided and taught to get our sense of validation from as we're growing up? For many of us, it is things like our jobs, how much money we're earning, our status in society, cars, houses, our appearance, how many things we can buy, followings on social media. A lot of us are getting a lot of our validation, a large proportion of it, from all of these external points. And the difficulty is, all of these are outside of ourselves and they don't have end goals. There's no limit to the job you have, the money you earn, your followers online, how good you look, how many things you can buy to make yourself feel happier. There's no limit to any of them. They're all a kind of unattainable dream. And the question I've been beginning to ask myself is, if we're constantly focusing on an unattainable dream and trying to focus there to get our sense of joy and peace within us, how are we ever going to achieve it? Because it's not attainable. There's no end goal to any of those. So if you do feel, yeah, I get a lot of my validation from what others think of me, looks, money, cars, whatever it may be, and that is very, very normal in our modern world, I think it's really important we start recognizing when we're doing that, how much we're doing that, and start creating some form of internal validation in your life. The reason I believe this internal validation is so important is when you're doing all of those things, gaining your validation from all of those different areas, they are all comparable to everybody else. So you can compare your jobs, your looks, how many goods you have, your house. You can compare all of these things to everyone else, and comparison is fueling so much difficulty in our minds these days. If you learn to internally validate yourself, where you start slowing down a bit and acknowledging everything you're doing in your life, the effort you are making towards your work, your career, your relationships, your health, exercise, food, whatever it may be, and you start slowing down a bit, and rather than constantly focusing on what's next, what's the next thing I desire, actually thinking, look how far I've come, look what I have done, look what I am doing right now that's really helping me in my life. If you start acknowledging what you are doing and actually internally validating yourself, having a conversation in your mind where you say, great job for doing that exercise, eating that food, creating that piece of work, and you start actually talking to yourself in a compassionate and loving way and internally validating yourself, what you begin to find, and I've been deeply exploring this over the last few months as I've been preparing to try and create this conversation, what I found is if you internally validate yourself on a regular basis, you just start comparing yourself against your previous self, against how you were yesterday, the week before, the month before, the years before, and you start creating this comparative process with your own experience, which is so much easier to have a better time in your mind than if you're constantly gaining all of your sense of validation from things outside of yourself that are all, as I say, unattainable, and then also so comparable against everyone else. This is a big conversation where we're getting our validation and sense of self-worth from. But the main thing I'd love you to take from this video is just taking some time to sit for a second and think, where am I getting my validation from? Is it all from there? If that is the case, which it may be, can you start creating some internal validation in your life where you learn to slow down a bit, acknowledge everything you are doing in your life, speak to yourself in a compassionate way, understand that we don't always have to be working and pushing harder and harder. We need rest as humans being, taking time to slow down and just be a human that hangs out with your friends and immerses yourself in enjoyable activities that you find restful and fun is so important. We didn't used to work at this pace for all of human history. We enjoyed chilling out and slowing down a bit, and it's a really, really key aspect of our mental health and this experience that we're having in our minds. Thanks so much for taking some time to watch another one of these videos. I'm going to continue to deeply investigate this conversation around our validation, where we're getting that self-worth from. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video. Bye for now.